Good evening. Welcome to WMGM TV Presents Pinky. Missed you last week. We had a wonderful, successful telethon. Sorry we didn't have the opportunity to be here with you, but we're here tonight, and we'll be here next week and every Saturday night as well. We hope you make it a regular habit of being with us Saturday evenings at 7 p.m. We've got a great show in store for you. Some friends have come to visit us from the United Kingdom. They work for QVC. Besides the fact that they're a couple of presenters and a line producer, you're going to learn a lot about television overseas and their impressions of American television. Stay right where you are. We'll be right back with our guests. My first guest is a young man I've known since his entrance into this earth. He happens to be my nephew, the son of my brother who lives out in Cleveland. He left the United States about 8 years ago and went over to work in Sweden and then went to the United Kingdom. And it's my pleasure to welcome a line producer for QVC in London, Bud Margolis. Bud, happy to have you with me.
It's great seeing you.
I think it's great to see you in a shirt and tie. Wow.
I love your sweater. I wish I had one just like this.
Thank you. You've done television work around the world. And when I say around the world, I mean you've gone to all of these places.
I've worked in 32 countries, actually.
Amazing. What's the difference from one country to another relative to television?
Well, besides the economies, which means some countries have the fancy equipment, the beautiful graphics and the style and the camera work. Other countries, it's amazing to see them actually put together a show. They sit there and fix things all the time because everything is breaking and the equipment is 30 or 40 years old. And I was in a volleyball match that had to move overnight from one side of Brazil to another. And the equipment actually is bouncing up and down, and by the time they go 8 hours to the next site, they sit there fixing everything. It's crude in some countries, but basically everybody's doing the same thing.
What types of shows do you see in different countries?
You see...
Let me take the Oriental countries, the Far East.
The Far East. In China, you'll see these incredible operas, but they're communist operas. And everybody's wearing flowers in the hair and these wild dresses, and it's such an obnoxious style to us, but to them they've seen this for their whole lives, and they happen to love these, and they go on for hours. You can watch one of these stories, and 5 hours later, no commercial breaks. They're still going on with this story.
Is there commercial television in China?
No,
none at all.
Not as we know it. They're starting slowly. They're putting advertisers' logos onto the beginnings of programs. In Shanghai, there's a commercial channel that's just developing, really. But there's only about 20,000 people that can watch it. So it's really in its infancy.
Can you imagine what's going to happen in the years to come with the numbers of people they have and the types of shows that they can put on over there?
Well, I think the economies are all tremendous growth potential, but the economies are what will drive the television. And as there's more money to spend, television will have more money to do things with. And they'll be able to afford other kinds of productions than what they do now. Before, the state was making everything for everybody, and the state was making some pretty drab material.
Are sports a major staple throughout the world?
Sports is about 20% of everything. Some countries you'll find have more of it than other countries. But basically, there's a lot of documentary, a lot of educational programming on television, an awful lot of news, and health care, hygiene programs. In Havana, for instance, I watched a half-hour program on dental care, which showed people brushing their teeth. And I asked my friend, why would they make this documentary? He says, we have it on every week, the same one. They show at 7:30 on a Tuesday night. It's the same one. They've shown it like 200 times. Somebody brushing their teeth and how to brush your teeth, and it's good for the state if you brush your teeth.
So just keep doing it, and maybe they'll learn after 200 times?
I think maybe that's the idea. This is a message that everybody needs to know about, and we're just going to keep on showing it. And
until they learn.
Yeah.
And they have no choice as far as stations are concerned.
No. No, they don't. But in Cuba, Cuba is a good example. There is a lot of sports programming in Cuba, whereas in other countries they wouldn't have quite as much. But Castro was a great baseball fan and basketball fan and volleyball. And you see that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Other countries, South America, do you see much of a difference in the different countries you go to?
In South America, it's, I would have to say, Brazil is the leader. Brazilian soap operas are famous the world over. They are fascinating. I don't know if you've ever seen any.
No.
But they're extremely well done. And in fact, they're sold in Hong Kong. People in China are addicted to Brazilian soap operas. And I happen to enjoy watching them myself.
Do you understand Portuguese?
Not a word, but I happen to enjoy just watching them.
They're beautiful to watch?
Yeah, there's a lot happening.
You can understand the story?
Well, they move their hands, and there's things happening, and it's fantastic. It's wonderful. But it's my profession. I enjoy watching commercials from all over the world.
Well, I guess that has to help you in having an understanding of what they're trying to do and the point they're putting across.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How about in Europe? Are we starting to see a difference in television in Europe?
Very much so. There's been a liberalization in all the nations in the EC.
What do you mean by liberalization?
It used to be that it was just the state broadcaster. Now, in many countries, there's private broadcasters with commercial television. They don't have as many commercials. They don't have, I think they only have 3 commercial breaks during an hour. And there's regulations about commercials. They're very strict about it. But what's emerging is a satellite network of independent channels, which, for instance, I receive in London on a small dish. And I watch Dutch and German and Italian television. And, again, I enjoy their commercials more than their programs.
Do they get much in the way of advertising? Are they starting to get the advertisers realize the potential of reaching the public through television?
I think reach is the important word here. The reach is still very limited. Although on cable, they're pretty much wired up for cable, Germany and Holland and France. I think we're looking at another 5 or 6 years down the road before they really start making the kind of income that we expect here and have expected since the 50s, really.
We're going to give you a little insight into what's going to happen in the United States come the end of June and into July, and that is the World Cup. Because Buddy has been around, Jed's his brother, but Buddy's been around the world in following football, as they call it, soccer as we know it. We'll learn about that in just a few minutes, so don't go away. We'll be right back.